Hello everyone. Today we're going to be going through a golf workout. So that's going to entail a bunch of stretches, a bunch of exercises that will all help improve our golf game. So we'll also get some housekeeping out of the way by taking a look at our disclaimer here with our questionnaires as well.
Hey guys, Brian Balance here, PSP Fitness and Sport Instructor from Canadian Forces Staff College. So, like I was saying, we're going to be going through a pretty comprehensive golf workout today. So, we're going to get started with a good warm-up, about 7 to 8 exercises, then a good amount of stretches that will really help improve our golf game. Let's get started.
Getting started with our warm-up here, guys. You can come along with me, do the exercises, starting with 5 body weight squats. Just really trying to slow it down on the way down and get some good blood flow in that area. Then we're going to come into 5 lunges on each side, really trying to use those toe muscles and those muscles in our feet to help stabilize our body, keeping our core tight and our body upright as well. From there, we're going to get started into our arm circles to warm up our shoulder joints, doing 5 each direction. From here, we're going to come into arms in and out, warm up our chest and our back a little bit, get some more range of motion in our shoulder joints. Now we're going to do a little balancing, which definitely helps out warm up the lower body and the stabilizer muscles, keeping our knee bent. I'm just swinging my leg about to give myself a little bit of instability. Warm up those muscles some more. Starting with your weaker leg, as I started with my left foot, finishing with my dominant side. And when we're finished that, getting into our alternate toe touches. So keeping our knees bent, trying to keep our back straight. We are not flexing at the low back. So starting things out, I'm going to start with alternate kettlebell swings, okay? So we're doing 2 sets, 10 to 15 reps. With this exercise, we're really trying to make sure that our glutes are engaged. We're bending at the hips and the knees, pressing that kettlebell forward. Alternating the arms really creates a unilateral exercise here so that we can gain some stability in our upper body as well as our lower body. So here, I'm resting for about 30 to 45 seconds. You can take more or less rest depending how good you are at the kettlebells or used to them. The reason in why we are doing alternate kettlebell swings for our golf game is it really creates a unilateral demand, like I was saying. So using one arm or one leg while doing an exercise really creates a little bit of instability across the body. So this will definitely help out when we're swinging our clubs. So after this, we're coming into our band pulls. So this exercise is definitely going to help out with shoulder health. So not necessarily just for our golf game, but for everyday life and keeping our shoulders healthy and in the right position. So here, as you can see, my arms are slightly bent at all times. I'm not letting any slack in the middle of the band go when I come back, keeping that tension on my rear delts, and I'm keeping those elbows fairly high. So I don't want to let those elbows dip down and for me to use my rotator cuffs to do this motion. And I don't want to let the slack go in the middle so that I'm letting that tension off of the muscles. So here, I'm resting for about 20 to 30 seconds. And the reason in why this is going to help our golf game is because if we don't have healthy shoulders, we can't really golf very well. That is for sure. So just making sure that when we are doing this exercise, we're pulling our shoulders back and we're keeping them in the proper position. This will make sure that our rear deltoids are ready for the demand that we put them through when we go through our golf game. All right, getting into our next exercise here, side step-ups. So this is a challenging exercise. If you'd like to go from a box a little bit lower, you can most definitely do that, which I will demonstrate in the next set. But as you can see here, I have a good base of support with my right leg down, just really trying to press that knee outwards, bending at the hips, using those glutes to help us come down, okay? So we don't want to let that knee collapse and for us to let that knee come way forward or way inwards, as that is not a healthy position for our knee joint. So really trying to get a good stable base of support, pressing that knee outwards, coming down slowly. As you could see there, my knee is moving a little bit because I really need to stabilize this leg. Really trying to keep my back straight throughout. And coming up, making sure to not lock my knee out hard. Maintain control throughout. So for this exercise, I'm going to be resting around a minute, so you should as well, as it is quite a high demand. Pretty challenging exercise, but it definitely does give us a lot of benefits for our golf game. So while I'm resting here, I'm just changing up the degree of height so that it's a little bit easier. Just showing the change in kind of motor pattern, not necessarily motor pattern, but change in angle. So here, as you can see, it's a little bit easier and I can control this motion just that much more, which really aids in increasing stability and control. So this is going to really help our golf game because the glute medius is something that we really need to focus on to keep our hips working properly, as well as to increase a little bit of power in our golf game, as we use this muscle quite frequently when we play a round of golf, surprisingly enough. The next exercise we're going to get into is going to be a real beneficial one for our core stability. So I'm doing the dead bug here. So as you can see, my feet are not flexed to start this exercise, and it's a little challenging to keep my core and my back really stable. But once I bring those toes up, like you just saw, contracting the muscles in the lower body, will really help stabilize it all the way up the chain. So if our feet or our arms aren't very engaged, then you will notice that it'll be a little bit more difficult to keep that back flat and that core engaged. So alternating arms and alternating legs, we're going to be going through 12 to 15 reps for 2 to 3 sets, resting about 30 seconds in between. Here for this second set, I'm making it a little bit more challenging by putting a ball in between. So now, in this position, I have to stabilize just that much more by pressing down with my lats and using my hip flexors and abdominals to press up or push up on the stability ball. So it is a little bit more challenging, but it does give you a little bit of stability in holding that ball there. More challenging, but a little bit more stable. So like I was saying, around 12 to 15 reps for this exercise. Coming into our next exercise is Renegade Rows. So as you can see here, I'm trying to make my body as flat as a plank. And with this exercise, you really want to make sure your arms and hands are stable prior to you coming up for the row, because you don't want your wrist to turn over and potentially cause a wrist injury. As I'm using hexagonal dumbbells here, it makes it a little bit more challenging for me to make sure that I'm 100% stable. But once I am, I know I'm good. So really making sure that your grip strength is engaged, because if it isn't and we're hanging on our wrist joint, then that could potentially cause another error or an injury to occur. So here I'm making sure to give myself a good rest around 30 to 45 seconds, because this exercise really engages our core a lot, as well as using our back muscles to do the row properly. So giving a good pause at the top of the movement really helps increase rhomboid and lat engagement. So that's something we want to do with this exercise, is increase engagement. We're not worrying about the weight that we're pushing or pulling. It's more about being able to do the exercise 100% effectively. As you can see, giving a little pause at the top, making those muscles work hard. This is really going to benefit our golf game. Like I had said before, unilateral exercises where we are really focusing on making the movement as proper as we can, even though we're only using one limb at a time. Coming into our next exercise, it's going to really help with our spinal rigidity. So, cat-cows. With this exercise, we're trying our best to press our stomach to the ground as far as we comfortably can go, and going in the opposite direction, pressing our back up to the ceiling. So here, as you can see, it's not necessarily a challenging exercise, more of a mobility exercise, but that's something that we need in our golf game, is flexibility and mobility, because if we can't move our spine effectively, then you can tell that it makes it a lot more challenging to get off a good swing or hit a ball properly. If you notice when people are golfing that they aren't necessarily very flexible, it makes it difficult for them to get off a good swing, like I had said. So when doing this exercise, it's really beneficial to incorporate proper breathing when doing this exercise, as it greatly improves efficiency and it helps your mental health, that's for sure. Breathing and relaxing with this exercise will increase blood flow to the spine, which will definitely help out with mobility and flexibility. We're coming into our Cuban presses now, guys. So this exercise we're doing for 2 sets, around 12 repetitions with 30 seconds rest. This exercise is going to really help out with our rotator cuff strength. So rotator cuffs, we use those quite a bit when we are golfing. especially through our backswing and our regular swing. So as you can see here, you're going through the range of motion with pauses. You're not just going quickly through this, as it could be dangerous to go very quickly through this range of motion, as rotator cuffs are very fragile muscles. So making sure you're squeezing those dumbbells quite tight to give yourself grip strength and enough muscular engagement that we're not solely using our rotator cuffs to just press that weight. This is really going to assist in our golf game, as when we are going through our swings, if you were to just go into a backswing right now, you'd notice that that muscle is definitely affected with external rotation. So doing this exercise, it'll really create some range of motion, some stability, as well as build up that muscle a little bit to aid in our golf shot. As our shoulder health tends to degrade over time, we want to make sure that we keep these muscles active and used. Last but not least, guys, getting into our pelvis rotations with our clubs. So we're doing 2 sets of this with about 15 reps to each side, resting about 20 seconds in between. So when we're swinging our golf clubs, we want to be using those hips. I know when I first started golfing, I didn't use my hips, and my obliques and lats were killing me the next day. So as you can tell here, I'm twisting my hips around 25 degrees. This will really aid in making sure that we're going through a golf swing properly. When we're doing this exercise here, we're just really trying to keep our feet somewhat stable on the ground, pressing those hips. We're going to make sure that our knees are bent throughout as well, so that we're not putting a lot of strain and stress on those knee joints. We're just trying to get some range of motion in those hips. And last but not least, guys, getting into our stretches. So doing the hurdler stretch here, holding it for around 20 to 30 seconds each leg, 2 separate times. So with this, it's really going to improve our golf game, as we bend over quite a bit when we're golfing. A lot of golfers let that one leg out, bend over, and they don't necessarily stretch their hamstrings. But if you want to be stable, you can bend down with both legs, keep those knees bent, and get that ball without needing to do that one leg lift. So we're just trying to keep our knee flat on the ground, keep our toes pointed, turn that torso towards the leg, bending forward. Alright guys, getting into our next stretch, which is our crossbody glute stretch. So with this one, it's really going to improve our golf game because when you're swinging your golf clubs, you're basically doing the opposite of that. So I'm tightening my oblique and I'm coming across the body, contracting it over and over again. So this is basically untwisting your body from all the twisting that you've been doing. So this really aids in keeping our obliques and our midsection mobile. With this stretch, we're trying to keep both of our shoulders on the ground. You can also make the stretch a little bit easier by bending your knee more so, the leg that is over top. If you want to make it more difficult, straighten that leg out and try and point it towards your fingers. All right, getting into our next stretch, which is our cross-body delt stretch. So with this exercise, as you can see, I'm pulling my shoulders back there. A lot of people will press those shoulders forward, come across the body, stretching a little bit. But this way, pulling the shoulders back, putting them into proper place, coming across the body, stretching the deltoid, as well as the rotator cuff. So this has been a proven stretch that really helps out with our external rotation and internal rotation of our shoulder joint. So nonetheless, that will definitely help out our golf game, as we need a good amount of external rotation when we're playing golf. So for this stretch, we're just going to be holding for the same amount of time, 20 to 30 seconds, 2 times each. And last but not least, guys, coming into our calf stretch. So, as you can see here, I have my one leg back, trying to keep it straight and keeping that heel on the ground. So I'll lunge forward as far as I comfortably can go until I start to feel that little tug on my calf muscle. And this is really beneficial as we do a lot of walking when we're doing golfing. So if we're not taking our golf cart, which we shouldn't be, we will be walking up hills, walking down hills, and potentially making our calves quite stiff and tight. So taking care of those guys, making sure that you take the time to stretch those muscles, and they will take care of you in the long run. So here's the sets, reps, and rest scheme for the workout that we just did. So hopefully everybody enjoyed going through my golf workout. As you can tell, it's fairly challenging. You're going to gain some good benefits from doing these exercises and stretches. From using those motor patterns over and over and over again, you can create repetitive stress injuries, so we always want to make sure we're counteracting that with opposite muscle groups to make sure that we're balanced at all times. Otherwise, we're going to have problem areas, we're going to have injuries, and we're not going to have fun doing the things that we love. So all in all, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself, Ryan Valance, ryan.valance@cfc.dnd.ca with any sort of exercise questions, as I'm here to help, and especially with some golf questions. All right, guys, take care.